Hello. So for my lesson plan, there are two learning targets. The first learning target is focusing mainly on transportation, how students rely on transportation, how transportation affects their community, the difference between transportation and land, air, and sea. There's a song, there's a video, there's a book, and lots of different activities that we'll be completing in order to give students a more specific idea on what transportation is. Once students have gained a better understanding on what transportation is, we will then transition into our next learning target, which is focusing on identifying vowels. I'm hoping that with a topic like transportation, students will get the opportunity to work with a more diverse vocabulary. So words like boat, bus, car, train all have vowels that we can work with. I was inspired to do this lesson on transportation during my observation hours. I witnessed the head teacher that I've been collaborating with do a social studies lesson on transportation. And I was really surprised to see how students reacted and their feedback, how excited they were to talk about riding the bus to school, or especially here in New York, taking the train or taking a taxi. It was a topic that was very profound in their life. I like that transportation is a topic where I can apply a lot of real life connections with the students. I was inspired by my second learning target being on vowels, mainly because of the vocabulary that came along with transportation. There's just a lot of words that have a lot of vowels, and I thought that they would go really well together. While planning this lesson, I felt that one of my strengths was being able to make my own assessments, my own worksheets, my own activities. I did get a lot of ideas looking on things like Teachers Pay Teachers and Pinterest, but I just thought that it would be easier to come up with my own material that relates to what I'm trying to teach rather than trying to find something online that matched exactly what's in my head. If that makes any sense? A growth that I would like to tie into that strength is that creating my own material was so time consuming, and I don't see myself being able to teach throughout the school year making my own material for every single lesson. So I do want to get more familiar with the resources where I can find different things to use throughout a lesson rather than making it all. Another one of my strengths is being able to incorporate materials and strategies that I'm hoping will be able to reach all types of learners. So throughout the lesson, there's music, there's dancing, there's videos, there's writing, there's reading. I'm hoping through all these different types of strategies that I'll be able to reach the hands-on learner with cutting and gluing, and I'll be able to reach the visual learner with videos and books. My goal is to have everyone engaged in whatever way they feel comfortable learning and not feeling like I'm only reaching a certain crowd in my class. One of my growth areas I notice as I look through this lesson is I use a lot of worksheets. I only use worksheets. And although I think the worksheets target students differently, I want to be able to offer them more than just another worksheet. I'm afraid of students being bored or not being stimulated enough. And although there's more to the lesson than just the worksheets, I want to be able to familiarize myself with more resources and more ways to engage them in learning. I think the best way to target that growth area is to read more, to do more research, to talk to more teachers. I think the reason why I relied on worksheets so much for this lesson is because I was making them. I didn't really put myself out there to look at what other ways I can target students, and I just think it came from lack of knowledge and not really knowing where else I can get more material. So I think it's just about having those conversations and being more intentional. Another one of my growth areas is learning how to collect data from students and then use that data appropriately to plan my lesson. Throughout my observations, I felt like I was able to collect a good amount of data from students when it came to their likes and dislikes or their level of comprehension when it comes to certain topics. But I don't feel like I used any of that information to create this lesson. I found myself struggling to answer the question on what does the data tell me, because I didn't feel like I collected any data that would be useful to creating this lesson, which makes me question if I'm even collecting data correctly. But I was able to target this growth area after reading chapter 7. I realized that my outlook on data was really just about assessing a student to be able to understand what they know. And after reading the chapter, I learned that I can use data I collect from students not just to know how much they've learned, but to also plan future lessons. Overall, I had a really good time putting this lesson together. I feel like I learned a lot. I found myself going back and correcting myself and just reading it over and over again, trying to make it suitable for an actual classroom. So I appreciate all of your tweaks and comments because it'll make it perfect for me to be able to use one day in real life. So thank you.